This is chapter 35 of the book titled God's Gift to Woman by Michael Baisden. Where is she? Terry said to herself while pacing frantically in her office. Julian is going to kill me if I'm late again. After a few minutes, she called the receptionist Helen on the intercom to confirm the appointment.
Yes, doctor.
Helen, have you heard from my 4 o'clock?
She called about 15 minutes ago and said she was running late.
Okay, when she arrives, escort her into my office and make her comfortable. I'm going to the restroom to freshen up.
Another hot date with Mr. Payne, huh?
Listen to you, getting all in my business. Terry laughed. But since you asked, Miss Nosybody, we have a dinner date.
I didn't mean to pry. It's just nice to see you so happy.
It's okay, Helen. Thanks for noticing. Terry blushed. By the way, you can go home after you check the patient in. Just leave her folder on my desk. After Terry hung up, she rushed out of the rear door to the employee's restroom. No sooner did the door close behind her, there was a knock on the lobby door. Helen checked to see who it was and then buzzed her in. You must be Miss Johnson, Helen said while trying not to stare at her outfit. The woman was wearing a black tuxedo dress, fishnet stockings, and 3-inch pumps. Her hair was pulled back into a tight bun, revealing her pearl choker. Sorry I'm late. The traffic was horrible and the elevators were out of order. I thought I was going to faint walking up those 15 flights of stairs, she said, nearly out of breath. Is the doctor still in? Yes, she's been expecting you. Now, if you would just fill out this paperwork, we can get you set up in our system. That's not necessary. I'm paying cash. Helen was in too much of a hurry to worry about formalities, so she signed her in, collected $150, then escorted her into the office. Have a seat. Dr. Ross will be with you shortly. The second Helen closed the door, Ms. Johnson walked over to Terry's desk and began going through the Rolodex. She scrolled through the letters J and P, looking for Julian's new home number. When she didn't find it, she opened Terry's laptop and was about to log on when she noticed a picture underneath a transparent desk pad. It was a 5x7 of Terry and Julian posing at a late-night club. Terry was wearing a low-cut dress that showed off her cleavage. Fucking lovebirds, she cursed, then spit on it. Just then, Terry came in from the back entrance, snapping her fingers and singing, I shot the sheriff. Miss Johnson rushed back over to the sofa and sat down. Oh my goodness. Terry put her hand over her chest. I didn't realize you were here. Sorry, doctor. I didn't mean to startle you. She stood up and extended her hand. Thanks for seeing me on such short notice. No problem. Have a seat, Terry said and sat down at her desk. What happened to your hand? It's nothing. Just a little domestic accident. Terry reached for the folder Helen had left on her desk and unknowingly wiped the wad of spit on her blouse sleeve. Miss Johnson smiled. It says here that you're suffering from depression, Terry said. Do you know what's causing this? I've got so much drama in my life, I don't know where to start. Why don't we start with your childhood? Now that's classic, she laughed. I guess you're expecting me to tell you a story about my daddy molesting me when I was 7. Well, did he? My father wasn't at home enough to molest me, or even raise me for that matter. Do you resent him for not being there for you? Resentment isn't a strong enough word. I hate the bastard, she said. A father is supposed to be your hero, your first love. But my father was nothing but a cheating dog. Instead of being my first love, he was my first heartbreak. She paused briefly to compose herself. What about you, doctor? Do you resent your father? My father was a very affectionate and responsible man. I was blessed to have him in my life until he died 5 years ago. Good for you, she said sarcastically as she reached for her purse. Look, can we change the subject? I didn't come here to talk about my father. We could talk about anything you want. It's your time. Miss Johnson reached into her purse and took a cigarette out of a gold case, then leaned back on the sofa. Do you mind if I smoke? I'd rather you didn't, but if it would help you relax, then. Before Terry could finish her sentence, she lit the cigarette. Terry handed her an ashtray. Thank you, doctor. Why don't we dispense with the formalities? It makes it easier to communicate. Terry pulled the chair closer to the sofa. From now on, call me Terry. What's your first name? Evelyn, but my friends call me Eve. Okay, Eve, let's get down to business. Terry began taking notes. What are you depressed about? Like most women, I'm depressed over a man. Can you be more specific? I want to be with him, but he doesn't want to be with me, she replied. I've called him 1,000 times, left him messages at his job, and even followed him. Is this a former boyfriend, husband, or lover? Neither. He's just some guy I like to fuck. Why not go fuck someone else and save yourself all this time, energy, and drama? Evelyn laughed at her blunt retort. Because what? Because I don't have a damn thing else to do. That's why. Are you in love with him? Of course I am. Why would I be here talking to you? Does he love you? What difference does that make? A person once told me that if you truly love someone, nothing should come between you. Look, Eve, letting go isn't easy. And it's even more difficult when the sex is good. Believe me, I know. It's like a crack addict going through withdrawal. But like any drug, it ultimately destroys you. Terry put her hand on her shoulder. From one woman to another, let it go. A situation like this can only get worse. You got that right. Worse for him, she yelled as she sprang up from the sofa. I'm sick and tired of these arrogant ass men using women like doormats and throwing us away like garbage. They've got to learn that there's a price to pay for toying with a woman's emotions. So I guess this isn't the first time you've been hurt. Evelyn calmly walked back over to the sofa and sat down. Everything I tell you will remain just between us, right? She whispered. As a doctor, I'm bound by law not to divulge my patient's secrets. What if I told you I killed someone? Terry squirmed in her seat, trying to disguise her discomfort. Relax, Doc. I haven't gone that far. Not yet, she said with a sly grin. Suddenly, Terry felt dizzy. She put her hand on her stomach and rushed over to the trash can next to her desk and began vomiting. Evelyn rushed over with a Kleenex. Are you okay? I'm fine. It must have been something I ate for lunch. Evelyn happened to glance over at the photo of Julian and Terry on the desk. She noticed how much smaller her breasts were on the picture. Are you sure it's not morning sickness? Terry looked up at her with a shocked expression as she wiped her mouth with the Kleenex. What made you say that? I was a mother myself. Well, almost. She went back to the sofa and sat down. The first time I got pregnant, I was in high school. I was so afraid of my father finding out that I rushed to the clinic and had an abortion. And the second time? It was 6 months ago. I was married then. But 3 months into the pregnancy, I had a miscarriage. I'm so sorry, Eve. I'm sure you and your husband were devastated. He was devastated, all right, when the police came and arrested his ass, Eve said as her tears rolled down her face. I lost a baby because he was beating the shit out of me. I'll never forget that silly grin on his face when the doctors told him I could never get pregnant again. I should have killed that mother. She stopped abruptly. Terry passed her the box of Kleenex. Look, Evelyn, I know this is very difficult, but I can't help you if you don't open up and face your problems. Is that what you want, doctor? You want me to open myself up to you? Okay, how's this? She slid up to the edge of the sofa and spread her legs. As she continued to cry, Terry noticed that her right eye began to change colors. The more she rubbed it with the Kleenex, the more it changed from brown to hazel. Suddenly, all the pieces began to fall into place. Evelyn never did fill out the medical forms. The appointment was made on such short notice, Terry didn't have time to do a background check. And since she paid in cash, there was no credit card information or billing address. Then there was the story about Evelyn being beaten by her husband and not being able to bear children. Mitch told her about the radio interview in Chicago when she claimed she became sterile after being raped. But the dead giveaway was when she called herself Eve. It was the same name Terry used when she seduced Julian on the radio. Terry's hands were shaking as she stood up from her chair and walked over to her desk. Maybe you should come back when you're not so agitated. Why don't we get together next Wednesday, Miss Johnson? Miss Johnson? I thought we were on a first-name basis, she said. Don't you want to know why I hate my father and the rest of these goddamn men? I think you need to take a deep breath and relax. You've got a lot of nerve calling yourself a doctor. You can't cure me, and you damn sure can't erase a lifetime of pain and misery. You don't have the slightest idea of what it feels like not knowing if your husband is going to come home with a handful of roses or a balled-up fist. After so many years of abuse, all that anger builds up inside you until it erupts like a volcano. She picked up her purse and began walking towards Terry. Do your college textbooks and sophisticated degrees teach you about that kind of hell? Terry was terrified as she pretended to write in her appointment book. You sure you could fit me into your tight schedule? She said while reaching inside her purse. I know how busy you are nowadays. Please sit down. Why? Am I making you uncomfortable? She was lifting up her dress above her waist, exposing her vagina. I thought you wanted me to open up. Just then, the buzzer rang. Terry sprang up from her desk and rushed towards the door. Excuse me, Miss Johnson, I'll be right back. Take your time, she said with a conniving grin. Like I told you, I don't have a damn thing else to do. When she was outside the office, Terry rushed over to Helen's desk and pushed the buzzer to let Julian in. What's the matter? She's here. Who? Olivia. She's in my office half naked. Julian laughed, thinking Terry was kidding. That is, until he saw the distress in her eyes. Terry quickly jumped in front of him, blocking the door. I've had enough of that psychotic bitch. Let me by. Wait, Julian. She's got something in her purse. It could be a gun. Julian broke away from her and burst into the office. But when he looked around, there was no one there. She must have gone out the back. I called security. To hell with security. This ends today, Julian said as he rushed out the door after Olivia. The elevator was out of order, so Julian charged down the hall towards the stairway. Just as he thought, Olivia was racing down the metal stairs with her high heels in her hands. He bolted after her. There were 15 flights of stairs between him and the garage exit. Olivia was already on the 10th floor and moving fast. Julian narrowed the gap by jumping down a flight at a time. He nearly caught up to her as she passed the 3rd floor. He could see the top of her head as she sped down the flights directly below. Just when he was close enough to grab her, he fell and twisted his ankle. "Ah!" he screamed. Olivia stopped on the lobby level and quietly put down her shoes. She pulled a box cutter from her purse and tiptoed back up the stairs toward him. Julian was bent over holding his ankle and never saw her coming. She extended the blade as far out as it would go, then lunged toward him. "Miss me, baby?" she whispered as she began slashing him. The first blow grazed his forehead, but the second one caught him flush on the right side of his face, just below the cheek. "Let's see if you can talk on that radio with your throat cut," she yelled. Julian grabbed her arm and twisted it until she dropped the box cutter. It fell through the space between the metal stairs and landed 2 stories down. Olivia fought wildly, scratching, kicking, and biting until she finally broke away. She was about to go after the box cutter to slash Julian again when she heard Terry coming down the stairs. "I'll be back," she said with a deranged look in her eyes. "I'm not through with you, or your uppity whore." She took off down the stairs and ran out the garage exit. By the time Terry reached Julian, his white shirt was covered with blood. "Oh my God! Let me get you to the hospital." She bent down and helped him to his feet. "Terry, did you make that call to security or the police?" "No, I was too busy running after you." "Good, because I'm going to handle this myself." "Are you out of your mind? This woman is insane," she said. "I'm going straight to the police." "If you do, the press will have a field day," he told her. "The show goes national in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I've been waiting all my life for this opportunity, and I'm not about to blow it. Not even over this. Damn you, Julian. You can't just let her get away with this. She won't. That I promise you, he said with conviction. But right now, I'm more concerned with getting my face stitched before I bleed to death. I've got a show to do tonight. That is the end of chapter 35. Stay tuned